Let's get right into it. We're talking about a world where one bad decision, just a single moment of impairment, can have absolutely devastating consequences. This is so much more than just checking boxes on a form. It's about a deep, fundamental commitment to keeping the public safe. So today, we're diving into the Department of Transportation's critical regulations, the rules that govern these safety-sensitive jobs, and the incredible weight these professionals carry on their shoulders every single day.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start by really feeling the weight of that responsibility. Then we'll get into the history of why these rules even exist. We'll walk through the 6 critical tests that create this safety net. We are definitely going to spend some time in what I call the post-accident pressure cooker. You'll see why. Then we'll touch on modern compliance, and finally, we'll wrap it all up to show why this stuff matters to every single one of us.
You know, to really get why these regulations are so incredibly strict, you have to try and put yourself in their shoes. This is not your average job. The stakes are just profoundly high. I want you to picture this. You're behind the wheel of a fully loaded semi-truck. That's 40 tons of steel, 80,000 pounds, rolling down the highway at 65, 70 miles an hour. And in the lane right next to you, there's a family in a minivan. Behind you, someone's just trying to get home from a long day at work. Your focus, your reflexes, they can't just be good, they have to be perfect. There is zero margin for error. The safety of every person on that road is literally in your hands.
Okay, now let's go from the highway to the sky. Imagine you're in the cockpit of a passenger jet, 30,000 feet up. You've got hundreds of people in the cabin behind you, and they have placed their absolute total trust in you. Every single check you make, every little adjustment, every word you speak to air traffic control, it all has to be done with flawless precision. I mean, one mistake, one miscommunication, the outcome is just unthinkable. That's a level of responsibility most of us can't even begin to imagine.
And this right here, this is the core of it all. The DOT's definition of a safety-sensitive position is a job where your actions affect not just you, not just your coworkers, but the general public. An incident isn't just a workplace accident, it's a potential public tragedy. It's a profound duty of care, and it's written directly into federal law for a reason.
But these incredibly strict rules didn't just appear out of thin air. They weren't just thought out by some committee. No, they were forged in the fire of real-world tragedies, creating a mandate for safety that has been evolving for decades. If you look back before the 1990s, there was a string of absolutely heartbreaking transportation accidents. Train crashes, plane wrecks, massive highway pileups. And when investigators dug into the causes, they kept finding that substance use was a factor. These were huge national stories, a real wake-up call that something had to change. So Congress finally acted. In 1991, they passed the Omnibus Transportation Employee Testing Act, a huge deal that made drug testing mandatory. Then, a few years later in '94, the DOT added alcohol testing to the mix, creating the foundation of the safety framework we have today. So who exactly has to follow these rules? Well, the net is cast pretty wide, covering the absolute lifelines of our country. We're talking about the aviation industry, your pilots, mechanics, flight crews. The entire trucking industry, from long-haul rigs to school bus drivers. The railroad industry, moving people and goods across the continent. Mass transit, the subways and buses that millions of people rely on every single day. And even the pipeline industry, where folks are monitoring hazardous materials flowing right underneath our feet. Okay, so we've covered the who and the why. Now let's get into the really practical stuff, the when. The DOT created this multi-layered system, these 6 critical moments that trigger a mandatory drug or alcohol test. I like to think of these 6 as a web of safety, with each one designed to catch a different kind of risk. First up is pre-employment. You can't even start the job without passing this test. Then you have reasonable suspicion, which gives trained supervisors the power to act if they see signs of impairment. Number 3 is random testing, probably the biggest deterrent because you never know when your number's going to come up. Return to duty and follow-up tests are for employees on a strict path back after a violation. And last but certainly not least, the one that kicks in when something has already gone wrong, post-accident testing. And what are they looking for? It's the standard DOT 5-panel drug test. This screen looks for 5 specific drug classes that are known to cause impairment. That includes marijuana, or THC, cocaine, amphetamines like meth, opioids, which covers everything from prescription painkillers to heroin, and phencyclidone, also known as PCP. It's a very specific list of substances that have no business being in the system of someone in a safety-sensitive role. Okay, I really want to hear from you on this one. For all the safety managers, the DERs, the business owners watching this, look at that list of 6 tests. Which one gives you the biggest logistical nightmare? Is it managing the random pool?
Is it handling a really sensitive, reasonable suspicion situation? Or is it the absolute chaos of a post-accident test? Do me a favor and drop your answer in the comments. I am genuinely curious to see what the biggest challenges are for you all out in the field.
All right, let's zero in on that last one because it is, without a doubt, the most high-stakes, chaotic, and stressful situation of them all. We're talking about the post-accident test. This is where compliance becomes a frantic race against time, and believe me, every single minute matters.
So just imagine it. Your phone rings and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Your heart just drops. One of your drivers has been in an accident. Now, obviously, your first thought is, are they okay? But as soon as you confirm they're safe, a whole new kind of pressure starts building. The DOT compliance clock has officially started ticking. So what's your first move? What's that critical first call you have to make?
Right away, you are in the hot seat. You have to make a huge decision, and you're probably getting frantic, incomplete information from the scene. You have to figure out and fast if this accident actually meets the very specific DOT criteria for a mandatory test. Was there a fatality? Did someone get hurt and have to be taken for medical treatment? Did a vehicle have to be towed away? If you make the wrong call here, if you test when you're not supposed to, or worse, you don't test when you were required to, the consequences are enormous.
Okay, so let's say it does meet the criteria. Now the real fun begins. It's the middle of the night, your driver is on the side of some dark highway. Where on earth is the nearest collection site that's actually open 24/7? How far away is it? And how are you going to get your driver, who's probably shaken up and dealing with police, from the crash scene to that clinic like right now? This is that late night scramble that every safety manager absolutely dreads.
And this is all happening while this massive regulatory clock is ticking down in the background. If you miss the DOT's strict deadlines, that's it, you're out of compliance. The pressure is just off the charts. You know, this exact scenario is why new technology is completely changing the game. Instead of scrambling and making a dozen panicked phone calls, imagine using an app like ReadyCollect. It's a patented system built for this exact crisis. It literally walks you through a checklist to determine if a test is even required, taking all that guesswork out of the equation. Then, with just a tap, it dispatches a certified collector directly to your driver's location, anytime, day or night. That whole nightmare scramble is just gone. You get real-time tracking, you get status reports, and it turns that pressure cooker situation into a calm, controlled, and compliant process.
So let's talk about it. For those of you who've lived through this, who've gotten that 2 a.m. call, what's the biggest hurdle you've ever faced during a post-accident test? Was it just finding a place? Was it the time crunch? Was it dealing with the driver? Share your story in the comments. I think we can all learn a lot from each other's experiences.
Okay, let's shift gears from that crisis moment to something that's more of a day-to-day challenge. This is an area that creates so much confusion for everyone involved, and that's the rules around prescription and over-the-counter medications. It's a huge piece of modern compliance.
So the DOT is actually pretty clear on this. Taking prescribed medication is okay, but, and this is a big but, only if you follow these strict safety rules. Of course, you need a valid prescription from a doctor. But here's the most important part. The doctor who prescribed it has to confirm that the medication at that specific dose will not interfere with your ability to do your job safely. This is not a suggestion, it's a hard requirement. If a doctor puts you on a painkiller that says do not operate heavy machinery, it is 100% on the employee to have that conversation and get clearance. And if you're seeing multiple doctors, at least one of them needs to know about everything you're taking. It all comes down to disclosure and verification. That's how you stay safe and compliant.
We've gone through a lot of the technical stuff, the regulations, the tests, the procedures, but I think it's so important to just zoom out for a second and remember what the ultimate goal here is. Why do we have all these complex rules? Why does all this matter so much?
Because when you strip it all away, it comes down to this one simple, powerful idea. One random test might be the thing that stops an employee from making a terrible choice. One pre-employment screen can prevent a problem before it even begins. One correctly handled post-accident test can ensure an impaired driver is taken off the road. Every single test, every part of this system is just one more layer of protection. It's a tool designed to prevent one single tragedy. And that brings us right back to where we started. We began with this definition, and we're going to end with it because it is the soul of this entire system. A good safety program isn't just about protecting a company or protecting a job. It's a public trust. It's about protecting that family in the minivan, the people on the train, the community that lives near the pipeline. It is a shared, serious responsibility for everyone's safety. So, I'm going to leave you with this one last question to think about. We've talked about the rules, the pressure, the solutions. So now is the time to ask yourself honestly, is your safety program just a book on a shelf collecting dust,
Or is it a real, living system that is truly ready for the unexpected? Are you actually prepared for that 2 a.m. phone call?
If you were inspired with this video, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ready Collect. Feel free to share this video as well. Thank you.